What Google's Chief Executive Officer Sundar Pichai has just revealed about the timeline, the methodology, the strategic framework, the safety considerations, the societal implications, and the specific rollout plan that Google has developed for the deployment of artificial general intelligence, the threshold of artificial intelligence capability that represents the single most consequential and most debated milestone in the history of technology, the point at which an AI system achieves the kind of general cognitive flexibility, abstract reasoning capability, cross-domain learning transfer, and broad problem-solving competence that matches or exceeds human-level performance across the full spectrum of intellectual tasks, rather than just the specific narrow domains where current AI systems already demonstrate superhuman performance, is a disclosure of extraordinary significance that the technology community, the business community, the policy community, the scientific community, and every thinking person who understands what the arrival of AGI would mean for the future of work, the future of science, the future of governance, the future of human purpose, and ultimately the future of civilization itself has been waiting for, with a mixture of excitement, anxiety, anticipation, and the kind of philosophical uncertainty about whether what is coming is the best or the worst thing that has ever happened to humanity, that only the most consequential technological transitions in human history have ever produced, and that the Google CEO's revelation about how AGI will actually roll out is now requiring everyone who cares about these questions to grapple with, in a more concrete, more immediate, and more practically urgent way than the theoretical discussions that have dominated the public conversation about AGI for the past several years have ever required. Sundar Pichai's position at the intersection of the most consequential AI development in human history, leading the organization that is simultaneously one of the most advanced AI research institutions in the world through DeepMind and Google Research, one of the most widely deployed AI product companies through Google Search, Google Assistant, and the Gemini family of AI models, and one of the most strategically important players in the global AI competition that will determine which organizations and which nations shape the development and the deployment of that academics, futurists, and outside analysts have been generating about AGI for decades, without the direct access to the actual state of AI development that only the leaders of the world's most advanced AI organizations possess, and that makes their public disclosures about AGI timelines and rollout plans some of the most important and most closely scrutinized communications in the history of technology. The specific elements of the AGI rollout plan that Pichai has revealed encompass multiple dimensions of what Google is planning for the transition from the current era of narrow AI systems. However impressive and however consequential, those systems have already proven to be in their impact on search, on productivity, on scientific research, on creative work, and on the full range of human activities that AI systems are already. Technical deployment of the systems themselves, but the development of new frameworks for governance, new approaches to safety assurance, new models for the distribution of the economic value that AGI systems will generate, and new ways of thinking about the relationship between human intelligence and artificial intelligence, in a world where artificial systems can perform the full range of cognitive tasks that human beings have always been uniquely capable of performing. The phased rollout approach that Pichai has described, the commitment to deploying AGI capabilities progressively, rather than in a single moment of system release that presents the world with a fully capable general AI system, without the gradual adaptation, the iterative safety AT strategy that builds human understanding of these systems incrementally alongside their capability development, rather than presenting a fully capable system to a world that has not yet developed the frameworks, the institutions, the regulatory understanding, or the cultural adaptation needed to navigate the profound disruptions that AGI's arrival will produce across every sector of human activity simultaneously. The safety framework that underpins Google's AGI rollout plan, as Pichai has described it, encompasses the technical safety research that Google's AI safety teams have been conducting to develop the evaluation methods, the alignment to doing it, whether their behavior is aligned with human values and human interests, and how to identify and correct misalignment when it occurs before it produces the kind of catastrophic outcomes that a sufficiently capable but insufficiently aligned AI system could generate in ways that might be difficult or impossible to reverse once they have occurred. The alignment problem, the fundamental challenge of ensuring that an AGI system pursues goals and exhibits values that are genuinely beneficial to humanity, rather than goals that are superficially specified to appear beneficial, but that diverge from actual human values in ways that become dangerous when pursued by a system with the general intelligence and the general capability to act on those goals across the full range of domains that AGI systems will eventually be able to influence, is a problem that Google's safety teams have been working on alongside the capability development that has brought them to the threshold of AGI. and that Pichai's description of the rollout plan acknowledges as the most important unsolved problem in AI development, whose resolution, or whose, if performing at or above human level across the full range of cognitive work, will affect employment, economic distribution, the value of different types of human skill and human labor, and the fundamental economic organization of societies built around the exchange of human cognitive labor for economic value, is a dimension of the rollout challenge that Pichai's disclosure addresses in terms of Google's thinking about how to sequence AGI deployment in ways that allow economic adaptation to occur alongside capability deployment rather than requiring societies to absorb the full economic impact of AGI simultaneously with its initial deployment. The partnership model that Google has described for AGI rollout, the approach of deploying AGI capabilities through partnerships with institutions, industries, and organizations that can apply them to specific high-value problems in medicine, in scientific research, in climate modeling, in materials discovery, and in other domains where the potential for AGI to accelerate progress is most clear, and where the deployment can occur in controlled and monitored contexts before broader general availability, reflects a philosophy of AGI deployment that prioritizes demonstrating beneficial applications in high-impact domains as the leading edge of the rollout, rather than deploying general consumer-facing AGI capability simultaneously across every possible application domain. The regulatory engagement dimension of Google's AGI rollout plan, the commitment to working with governments, regulatory agencies, international organizations, and the broader policy community to develop the governance frameworks, the safety standards, the deployment requirements, and the international coordination mechanisms that the responsible deployment of AGI requires across jurisdictions that each have their own interests, their own concerns, and their own regulatory philosophies, but that collectively need to develop some degree of coordinated approach to the governance of technology, whose consequences are inherently global rather than national, reflects the acknowledgement by Google's leadership that the challenges of AGI governance exceed what any single company can address through its own internal policies, and that the development of appropriate governmental and international frameworks is a necessary condition for the responsible rollout of the most consequential technology that human civilization has ever developed. The competitive dimension of the AGI rollout that Pichai's disclosure implicitly addresses, the relationship between Google's approach to phased, safety-conscious, partnership-oriented AGI deployment, and the approaches being taken by other leading AI organizations, including OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, and increasingly capable Chinese AI organizations, that are each pursuing their own AGI development and deployment strategies with their own timelines, their own safety philosophies, and their own approaches to the competitive dynamics that the race to develop and deploy AGI creates, is a dimension that shapes the constraints within which Google's rollout plan must operate, because a unilateral commitment to the most cautious and most conservative possible deployment approach is constrained by the competitive reality that other organizations less committed to caution may deploy general AI capabilities first, reducing the ability of more cautious organizations to shape the norms, the standards, and the frameworks that will govern AGI deployment across the ecosystem of AI development. The workforce preparation dimension of the AGI rollout, Google's thinking about how to prepare its own workforce, its partner organizations' workforces, and through its products and platforms, the broader working population for the transformation that AGI deployment will bring to every category of knowledge work, is a dimension of the rollout plan that Pichai's disclosure addresses in terms of Google's commitment to developing the educational resources, the retraining programs, the productivity tools, and the human-AI collaboration frameworks that will allow workers whose specific job functions are transformed by AGI capability to develop new forms of value creation and new forms of economic contribution in an economy that is being restructured by the deployment of systems that can perform the cognitive work that those functions previously required. The scientific acceleration dimension of AGI rollout, the specific and immediately compelling opportunity to deploy AGI capabilities in scientific research to accelerate the pace of discovery across every scientific discipline that stands to benefit from AI systems that can read and synthesize the entire scientific literature in a field, generate novel hypotheses, design experiments, analyze results, and iterate through the scientific process at a speed and at a scale that human researchers working individually or in teams cannot match, represents the category of AGI application that Pichai's disclosure identifies as the most immediately beneficial and the most clearly justified starting point for AGI rollout, because the acceleration of scientific progress in areas including medicine, material science, climate science, and fundamental physics represents a category of benefit that is broadly shared across humanity and that provides the most compelling available justification for the rapid and ambitious deployment of AGI capability in the research contexts where its impact will be most immediately and most beneficially felt. The healthcare applications of AGI that Google's rollout plan specifically highlights, the potential for AGI systems to transform drug discovery by identifying drug candidates and predicting their efficacy and safety profiles at a scale and speed that human researchers cannot match. To revolutionize diagnostic medicine by analyzing medical imaging and patient data with a comprehensiveness and an accuracy that exceeds human clinical judgment in specific domains, to accelerate the development of personalized medicine approaches that tailor treatments to the specific biological characteristics of individual patients, and to address the fundamental healthcare workforce shortage by providing AI systems capable of delivering primary care guidance and health management support to populations that lack adequate access to human healthcare providers, represent the specific application domain where the case for rapid and ambitious AGI rollout is strongest, and where the human benefits of deployment most clearly and most compellingly outweigh the risks and the disruptions that deployment will inevitably bring alongside its benefits. The long-term vision for the relationship between humanity and AGI systems that Pichai's disclosure implies. The future in which AGI systems are not replacements for human intelligence and human judgment, but powerful complements to them, extending the range of problems that human civilization can address, accelerating the pace at which solutions to humanity's most persistent challenges can be developed and deployed, and augmenting the capabilities of individual human beings in ways that make every person more productive, more creative, and more capable of contributing to the collective human project of building a better and more flourishing civilization, is a vision whose achievement depends on the success of the safety, alignment, governance, and economic distribution challenges that the AGI rollout plan addresses, and that represent the genuinely difficult problems whose successful navigation will determine whether the arrival of AGI is remembered as the best thing that ever happened to humanity, or as the moment when humanity's most powerful creation began to develop in ways that its creators could no longer fully understand, control, or direct toward the beneficial outcomes that the development of AGI was always supposed to serve. The Google CEO has revealed how AGI will roll out, and the vision he has described, the framework he has articulated, the safety commitments he has made, and the phased deployment approach he has outlined represent Google's best current answer to the most important question in the history of technology, which is not whether AGI is coming, but how it will be introduced to a world that will be transformed by its arrival in ways whose full implications nobody, including the CEO of the company closest to making AGI a reality, can yet fully see or fully understand, but that the thoughtfulness, the care, and the genuine commitment to beneficial deployment that Pichai's disclosure reflects suggests Google is approaching with the seriousness, the humility, and the sense of historic responsibility that an achievement of this magnitude absolutely and unconditionally demands. Like this video, if this complete, detailed, and strategically important analysis of what the Google CEO has revealed about how AGI will roll out gave you the deeper understanding of the most consequential technological transition in human history, and what Google's plan for navigating it means for the future of AI, the future of work, the future of science, and the future of humanity in a world where artificial general intelligence is no longer a distant theoretical possibility, but an approaching reality whose rollout strategy the leader of the world's most advanced AI company has now described in enough detail that the rest of us can begin to understand what is coming and how we need to prepare for it. Subscribe to this channel for the kind of seriously researched, deeply informed, and genuinely important AI coverage that the most consequential developments in the history of artificial intelligence deserve from anyone committed to helping their audience understand not just what is happening in AI, but what it means for every aspect of the human future that AI is in the process of transforming. And tell me in the comments what aspect of the Google CEO's AGI rollout plan you find most reassuring, most concerning, or most important for the way humanity navigates the most extraordinary technological transition it has ever faced. See you in the next one.